I just not.
Hang on. What did you hit?
This, the
Gotcha.
Excellent. Good morning, everyone. I'm Peter Franchot, Comptroller of Maryland. Welcome to today's virtual press conference. Before I begin, if you're the media and have questions, I ask you to email Susan O'Brien, Communications Director, at sobrien@marylandtaxes.gov. And or you can also email Alan Brody, the press secretary, at abrody@marylandtaxes.gov, or send a message to the Comptroller of Maryland's Facebook page. I'm joined here today by members of the executive staff of the Maryland Comptroller's Office, who, along with our other 1,100 agency employees, are preparing for the start of the 2022 tax season on January 24th. I have with me Andy Schoffel, the Deputy Comptroller, also Deborah Gorman, who is the Deputy Director of the Revenue Administration Division, our biggest division, and also Pat Giles, the Deputy Director of Taxpayer Services. Every tax season is filled with unforeseen challenges, and 2022 is no different. The Internal Revenue Service has already indicated there may be processing delays this year due to the COVID pandemic, and the Maryland Comptroller's Office has braced itself for those delays that will affect our operations because we're integrated with the federal IRS. While we know these issues may make for a difficult tax season, I'm confident that we are going to deliver the same level of excellent service Maryland taxpayers expect from this agency. I know this because despite the COVID-19 pandemic and other added responsibilities in 2021, such as, for example, distributing nearly $178 million in stimulus payments to people in need from the Maryland Relief Act. This agency has always done a fantastic job serving the public. As I say in the agency, we respect the 3 R's. We respect the taxpayers. We respond to the taxpayers. We get results for the taxpayer. In 2021, we processed 3.29 million tax returns. During that time, we also issued 2.61 million tax refunds worth $3.2 billion. And most of those were given where there was no question of fraud, were received within 2.5 business days. We answered nearly 690,000 customer calls and responded to almost 159,000 emails. We also provided help to people safely through more than 22,000 in-person or virtual appointments across the Comptroller's 12 branch offices across the state. Now let's discuss the key dates for the 2022 Maryland tax season, beginning with when we will start accepting returns. The IRS and the Maryland Comptroller's Office will begin accepting individual income tax returns starting Monday, January 24th. This is after we began accepting federal and state corporate income tax returns as of January 7th. The federal and Maryland deadlines to submit your taxes this year are very different. The 2022 federal income tax filing and payment deadline is Monday, April 18th, 2022. However, today, utilizing the authority granted to me, I am extending the 2022 Maryland income tax filing and payment deadline to Friday, July 15th, 2022. This is the third consecutive year in which my agency has extended the tax filing and payment deadline, because the reality is that tens of thousands, if not hundreds of thousands, of our fellow Marylanders continue to feel the financial impact of this pandemic. This is an automatic extension that applies to residents and non-residents with a Maryland filing requirement. You will not need to request this extension to July 15, 2022. But if you believe you'll receive a refund, please file as soon as you can. Don't wait until July 15th to file your return. I want to emphasize our decision to extend the deadline 3 months later than the federal deadline in April. This Friday, July 15th, 2022 deadline for the state means that all individual income tax filers, all of those in Maryland, will have 3 extra months to submit final payments owed on their 2021 taxes without penalty or interest. We decided on this deadline extension because Marylanders are still feeling the economic impact of the COVID-19 pandemic, and many of our small businesses are still feeling that. 3 extra months will help ease the financial burden on taxpayers who owe us money. Our agency research shows that previous extensions have helped Marylanders get through some tough times by allowing them to keep their own money longer. The extensions have allowed taxpayers who are struggling to use that money towards immediate issues. They can now use it for paying rent, for example, or keeping their business open. Previous extended due dates have helped approximately 600,000 taxpayers and have allowed them to hold on to up to $1 billion per year as an interest-free loan from the state of Maryland. I just want to emphasize how flexible this is, how it is immediate relief. What we're saying to Marylanders are, if you need the money, you have it for 3 extra months without penalty and without interest. I think the beauty of this is that it's self-selecting because almost all Marylanders who do not have financial problems will send us their tax payments. But those that truly need it will be able to take this as an option. And I think it fixes one of the main problems with our relief efforts from the federal and state levels, which is the disconnect between the problems, the consequences of the pandemic, economic consequences, and the relief. In other words, it's months and months and months separation. This is proactive relief, and we're giving it to the people who really need it. Speaking of ways people can help, I want to remind people of the changes to the Earned Income Tax Credit as they prepare their tax return for 2022. Last year, Maryland increased the value of the Earned Income Tax Credit. It's a benefit to help lift low to moderate income taxpayers out of poverty. Maryland taxpayers who file using an individual tax identification number, ITIN, may now be eligible for the state EITC. The federal government also expanded eligibility for the Earned Income Tax Credit, which is a separate benefit but does flow through Maryland. I can encourage everyone to check to see if you might be eligible for this key tax credit, which will either substantially reduce or eliminate your federal and state income tax burden. I emphasize once again, those are tax credits and they require all sorts of documents. What we were talking about originally here with this 90-day interest-free loan is something very, very special and very important. So let's move on to the next slide. As you begin to gather documents for the 2021 tax year, I also remind those who received monthly advanced child tax credit payments last year to be on the lookout for IRS letter 6419. The Internal Revenue Service is sending out this important notice to help taxpayers report their advance payments correctly so they can claim the remaining half of the CTC on their federal return. Using the amounts in the IRS letter can help taxpayers quickly file tax returns and avoid processing delays that impact their refund payments. I will note that changes made to the Child Tax Credit Program apply only to the federal returns. These will not impact state tax filings. Next slide. Now that the deadlines for the 2022 tax season have been established, let's review how the Maryland Comptroller's Office can help. If you need one-on-one help from the Comptroller's office, there are several ways you can receive it. First, you can make an in-person visit to any of our 12 branch offices across the state of Maryland. However, you must schedule an appointment in advance for an in-person visit. Walk-in appointments will not be accepted during this time. If you do choose to meet in person, you will be required to wear a mask regardless of your vaccination status. Second, the Maryland Comptroller's Office is also offering virtual appointments to our taxpayers. You can schedule an appointment through our website, marylandtaxes.gov/locations. And finally, beginning February 1st, our taxpayer services has extended hours from 8:30 until 7 p.m., Monday through Friday. If you're a taxpayer and need help, you can always call or email us with your questions. Our phone number is 1-800-MD-TAXES. Our email is taxhelp@marylandtaxes.gov. If you have questions about your federal tax returns, I recommend you visit the IRS website at irs.gov or by calling the local Baltimore Taxpayer Advocate Service for the IRS at 443-853-6000 or 877-777-4778 outside the Baltimore area. You can also find help at the federal level by searching IRS Maryland Taxpayer Assistance Center online. I would encourage you to file your returns electronically for the fastest possible processing and easiest way to get your tax refund, and make sure you ask for direct deposit if you're filing electronically. We will get your return back to your money back in your pocket within 2.5 business days, and on average, as long as there's no tripping of our fraud detection system. But you have to ask for direct deposit, and I hope everyone does that on their electronic filing. Maryland taxpayers can also use the agency's free iFile system at marylandtaxes.gov to submit their state tax returns. A list of approved vendors for use in filing your electronic return can be found on the Comptroller's website. And for any state employees listening to this news conference, W-2 for state employees who have signed up for electronic delivery by using Payroll Online Service Center are now available on the POSC. W-2s will be mailed to the rest of the employees on January 28th, and they will be made available to all employees via POSC on January 31st. Before I finish this presentation, I want to thank all of the 1,100 employees of the Maryland Comptroller's Office in advance for what I know will be another very demanding tax season. But the 3 R's are so important. Respect the taxpayer, respond to the taxpayer, get results for the taxpayer. Again, if you're a member of the media and have questions about what we discussed today, I ask you to email Susan O'Brien, Director of Communications, at sobrien@marylandtaxes.gov, or our press secretary, Alan Brody, at abrody@marylandtaxes.gov. You can also send a message to the Comptroller of Maryland Facebook page. Thank you all very much. And at this point, I'd like to open it up for questions from the press. And we have our agency staff ready to help out with any technical questions that you have. Thank you.
So as of now, we do not have any questions from any members of the media. We'll give it just another few minutes. Well, at this point, I would say that if any members of the media have any questions directly for the comptroller or any members of staff, they can email us directly, and we will set that up after the fact rather than keeping these hardworking folks tied up here on the phone. We can, Mr. Comptroller, if you'd like.
No, I just want to reiterate that this is a big deal for the state of Maryland, because the last 2 years that we've done it, it's been enormously successful and appreciated. It is immediate relief. It's not the I appreciate the legislature and the governor moving on possible tax cuts, et cetera, but this is immediate. It's flexible. It's self-selecting. It has a elegance to it because the relief is basically your own money being kept in your own pocket. And we're the only state in the entire country that is doing this now for 3 years in a row. And it's proven to be very beneficial to tax revenues because I think it allows people who are under financial stress to get through the end of winter, beginning of spring, get into the summer months, particularly small businesses. And then they have the money, the tax money that they owe the state of Maryland. And it is a completely different concept where we're connecting relief directly and flexibly to the people who need it. And, not that the other forms of relief through tax policies that take effect next year are not important. All I'm saying is this is something that is well tested and works quite well.
We do have one question here about the due date of 2022 estimated tax payments. Not sure who wants to take that.
Andy, go ahead.
Thank you, Mr. Comptroller. This will only affect your tax year 2021 returns and the payments with those returns. 2022 estimated payments will have the continued due date that they had before. As the Comptroller has said, anyone that is experiencing some sort of hardship that will affect that payment, they should give us a call and we'll be happy to work with them on a one-on-one basis. We have always prided ourselves in connecting with taxpayers in those types of situations. The Comptroller has always made sure that we take care of folks where necessary, and we would be happy to do that, but we're just not doing it systematically here.
Get Debbie Gorman to answer the question.
Okay, we have one other question up, which is, will you be able to file your Maryland return electronically, but set the auto draft for payment in due 7/15? I'll ask Deborah Gorman to comment on that.
Certainly. And based on today's announcement, we will be making that adjustment to allow you to set the auto draft for your payment to 7/15. We ask that you give us a few days to complete that programming, but yes.
Excellent. Other questions? Is the July due date for individuals only or business too? Business income, I believe, but Deborah Gorman, if you want to comment on that.
Yes, this extension is for individual income tax only.
But I would add to that, sir, that the majority of our businesses pay their taxes through the individual income tax. So there is a direct relief to the majority of small businesses. This doesn't apply to corporations, but it will to the majority of our businesses.
Excellent. Thank you, Andy. And that I think is the positive benefit to the amount of surplus money that the state is now dealing with. Part of it's due to the federal relief dollars that came in, but a chunk of that, $1 billion each year, I believe is attributable to the ability to, through this extension, to allow small businesses to get into the summer season and therefore have the revenue to make their tax payments. So it's all good. And I love the fact that it's got an elegant, flexible, self-selecting aspect to it that, will actually in real time help Marylanders who are struggling right now. Pat, do you have anything to add?
No, Mr. Comptroller. Thank you.
Okay.
I think you covered everything well, and we look forward to opening our tax season and assisting the taxpayers.
Excellent. Thank you all very much for joining me. And Alan and Susan, thank you for organizing the press conference. And we're available for any questions, obviously, offline. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.